Well, hello, hello, hello. It's Sergeant Friday, and a happy Sunday evening to you all. And to you all, I mean for the four people in here. Four people? It's like talking to yourself. Well, now we're down to three people. Let me just go check on my other little places that we air. Rumble, which does very poorly. Let me see what we got over here on X. Let's open up X. And I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. Every day is a good day, right? You're not. Hang on. There we go. X was going to give us a double feedback loop. We don't want that. Who do we got in here? Who do we got in here? Let me go into the comments. Let me go into the see what we got here. We got Truth and Justice, True Crime with Anna D. What's going on there, Anna? Anna D. Have fun with that name, Anna D. Let's see here. Let me move. I got some notes on my keyboard for tomorrow's work. Something we got to get it off the board, get it done, move on. Yeah. We got two comments. We got who else we got in here? Just pardon me. I'll tell you what. I had probably one of the worst ribeye steaks today, and in as much as I mean the ribeye tasted good and all of that, but the cut was the worst cut I've ever had in my life. The grizzle, the fat that was attached to this piece of meat was just had to be 30% of the cut. And I bought a ton of food from a company called Wild Fork. That's why you guys are always hearing me eating T-bones and stuff. And man, Miss W, that was the worst piece of meat that I've ever obtained from Wild Fork. And yeah, it's very disappointing, man. I've been always so happy with their cuts, their quality of the meat, the quickness of getting it, and I don't know now if I need to find me a new meat company. But I'll probably give them one more shot. Make sure I don't get another cut. I'm not going to order ribeye anymore. I don't know why I've ordered ribeye. I'm a T-bone and porterhouse man. But I ordered ribeye. I ordered some New York strips. I don't know why I did that. I think I was being cheap. Old Sarge was being cheap. You know, I'm one of the few people I know that when I sit down, my wallet makes me 3 feet taller. It's quite fucking amazing. And sometimes I'm cheap. Don't need to be so damn cheap. I got 11 people over in X. What up, X? Yay! And on Rumble, we have 40 followers there after like a year with two people viewing us. I'd like to say hello to those two when I suspect there's two people viewing because there's one person viewing and me looking at them. Welcome all you YouTubers. And yeah, I do want to put a shout out, and I'm not really up to snuff on how or what you have to do when you use parts or somebody else's short stream. I do want to give a shout out to uh, the Indies. I'll post her link here several times. You guys should watch this because this came up on a panel the other day with Dago, and I think it's a great topic. What's up there, Jody? So I want to link you to her stream before I do anything with it. I don't know how I could put it in the description, but let me see here. It's Kathy's Indie Zone. That's the name of the stream. She's got 1,800 subscribers. If you guys like just pure raw information with some attached opinion to it, a different kind. It's an informative data type stream of information that's given to you, and I find it very interesting. But you might want to consider subscribing to her stream. Let me give you the title of the stream we're going to reference. Paste. That's the title of her stream. Copy. And this is the link to her stream. And I'm going to use her stream to some extent here. Hopefully she doesn't strike me. No striking me down, Kathy. But you can if you need to, I guess. What else do we got to do here? Put the invite up there for any Any of you people in the audience that would like to come up here and stay a spell and have a conversation, you're welcome. There's the stream connection through StreamYard. If need be, why isn't this thing brought? There you go. If need be, I can post the call-in number if that's something people want to see or get involved with. But I do want to play. It's an 8-minute clip, and this really plays into what I'm saying. Hippler versus Steve Goncalves. Lock him up. I say lock that son of a bitch up. I mean, he has no business doing what he's doing. He has no business interfering. That's, to me, my opinion, jury tampering, what Steve is doing. And he just needs to shut the fuck up. In case you missed that, Mr. Steve, I'm telling you to just go sit down and shut the fuck up. And let the case play forward without your fucking input and your hate and your fucking insanity. Yeah. I used to like her, and then she turned guilt. I don't care if she hears innocent or guilt. Yeah. See, I think people agree. Number one, Steve, shut the fuck up. Or two, Steve, keep talking. Somebody killed his child, but he doesn't have any business getting himself involved in poisoning and tampering with the jury. He doesn't have any business in doing that, especially when everything he does turns out to be a fucking lie. It'd be one thing if this guy was the champion of champions and he was out there telling truths, and he's not. He's lying so that everybody sees Brian Koberger as the killer. And there's no sound evidence to support that. And everything he tells the public is sound evidence that turns out to be a lie. He needs to seriously sit down and shut the fuck up. I can't stress that enough, Steve. You in fact may be a murderer, and you're the father of a fucking murdered child, dude. You just need to step back and shut the fuck up, because it's man, is it disgusting what he's doing. I don't find any fucking. I have no compassion for a man that's going to do what he's doing. If he was giving us data that was all coming up as being verifiable, even then I would stand up and say, you need to just shut the fuck up and let that get presented to the jury unbiasedly. Let the prosecution and the defense do their job. You can see it any way you want, but if transfer DNA on a sheath is all it takes, then what do you do with all the other DNA? I mean, how do you stop using that simple fucking view? DNA on the sheath proves he's the one, and there's blood on the sheath. That's not Brian's. There's DNA under one of the victim's fingernails, 3 different DNAs, not Brian's. There's blood. There's DNA on a glove in the form of blood. There's DNA in the form of blood on a railing, not Brian's. So the question has to be, if you're that fucking stupid to take any one single piece of DNA and say that proves somebody committed a murder, then how do you now not attend all the other DNA that's directly connected to the crime scene? How do you not also then consider them to be part of the crime and part in the killing? You know, that's just the sad part here. I don't know who Janet is. Wrong, Turquoise. No one, Janet, is wrong yet. After the trial, some of us may be wrong. No, Turquoise, you're absolutely wrong when you think that showing transfer DNA on a button snap is proof that he committed the murder. That's not conclusive proof. It's circumstantial. Same thing as the blood that's on the sheath that isn't Brian's. Circumstantial. Who does that belong to? Why wasn't that tested to the degree that they went to try to identify what transfer DNA is the most joke of a DNA in the world? Blood, semen, saliva, those are top-notch samples. Why weren't those things tested? Why was the blood ignored, Turquoise? You know, I mean, you really got to be fucking slow in the mind to intentionally ignore the other DNA samples and write them off, but not write off Brian's, because whatever reason in your brain is being used to support the ignoring of other samples that are really their blood. Whatever reason you're given to ignore them is the same thing you need to give to ignore Brian's. Because you have nothing to support that Brian was in that house. Nothing. Not a picture, not a video, not a cell phone ping, not an internet connection to a modem, not a witness, nothing. So Brian's as much as the killer as the other DNA samples are the killers. So if you want to identify everybody and throw them all into the ring, I don't object to that at all. Not an objection at all. But how can you exclude people's blood samples at a crime scene where a knife was used? But you're going to accept a microscopic skin cell. I mean, come on, man. That's called willful ignorance. That don't even make no sense. It's too funny, man. It's just way too funny. And here's the best part of it all. The likelihood that snap on that knife is made of brass is extraordinarily high. Brass is a much more affordable metal than stainless steel. It's much easier to make a brass snap than it would be a stainless steel snap. And yet, we don't know what the snap is made of yet. And if that snap is made of brass, then you can't trust the identification that they're claiming they took that DNA sample from. Because DNA cannot survive on brass. It just can't. It's scientifically impossible for any DNA, blood, semen, spit, sweat. It cannot survive on brass. Transfer DNA just can't. Biological material like that is degraded by brass. So it's going to be interesting to see their argument. Where if in fact that button snap turns out to be brass. And yet for more than 24 hours before they even swabbed it. Incredible. They didn't swab the button itself for DNA. Here's how stupid these people are, and they think that's how stupid they think we are. A button snap that you generally will use your thumb. Direct contact with your thumb that takes some pressure to make it snap and lock. They didn't test for DNA. They saved that for fingerprint test. I mean, if there's any fingerprint on that, it's going to be smudged. It's going to be such a small portion of any fingerprint that fingerprinting the button is just fucking mind-boggling why you would choose to do that and not swab it. And here's why it's even more mind-boggling. The button itself is covered with enamel paint. So the enamel paint, the DNA can survive on that for fucking weeks, months. Why didn't they swab the fucking button? No, they swabbed inside the button snap, which I promise I'm pretty certain that it's going to be brass, which makes the sample, their identity of that sample is just a fucking joke. I don't think that knife sheath even has anything to do with what was used in the actual murders of these kids. Dude's DNA should be nowhere, according to his glove habit. Well, Turquoise, I'm going to share this with you briefly, and then I'm going to move on. You, sir, man or woman, I don't know what the fuck you are. You go to a gas pump and grab the gas pump handle, okay, and put gas in your car, and you've got strangers' DNA on your fucking hand. You go into the store, and you put your hand on a fucking bottle of fucking beer, milk, candy bar, and you're transferring that person's DNA onto the fucking candy bar. You're taking also any DNA, transfer DNA that's on the candy bar, and you're picking that up and moving it with you. Everywhere you don't even realize what transfer DNA is. You lose 5 billion microscopic skin cells every fucking day. If you could see a human being walk past you on the microscopic level, we all look like fucking pig pen. Okay? Okay? That could have been transferred by anybody at any time. And if it's on the snap and the snap is brass, that means the police are lying to us. You don't know anything about transfer DNA. If you obviously don't understand that transfer DNA is considered the clown show. And if you're going to continue to put arguments like that up here on the fucking thing because you haven't read to understand what it is, if you don't understand what brass does to DNA, and you're going to argue that transfer DNA is so important, but the blood samples aren't, you really got to get out of my stream. Because your kind of ignorance is what's really causing the fucking collapse of the world. There's too many ignorant fucks like you out there that act like you know something and you never read a goddamn thing about anything. You're just parroting what other people have said. You're parroting and you think you know, right? And you don't know shit. Transfer DNA is the least likely fucking source of DNA that you should trust. Blood DNA that gets ignored by the investigators should make you question the investigators. How can you ignore blood DNA on a glove, on the knife sheath itself, which Steve Goncalves told us there was more DNA at the scene, leading us to believe there were multiple samples of Brian Koberger's DNA, and Steve needs to shut the fuck up because every other sample of DNA clearly does not belong to Brian. It's crazy. 70+% of the dust in your home, Turquoise, comes from your own skin cells falling off your body. You can't be that fucking ignorant. Okay? If you are that fucking ignorant, then just pause, take a deep breath and say, man, I'm glad I came into this guy's channel. He's fucking brilliant. This guy's smart. He must read a lot. He might be able to teach me something. What do you think there, Turquoise? You're going to learn? You're going to just be an obstinate fucking idiot cocksucker that I need to boot out of here. It's your fucking game. Reply if you like, or sit and learn. Fucking morons, man. 70+% of the fucking dust in your house is the accumulation of your dead skin cells. Your mattress will double in weight just simply because of your dead skin cells over a known period of time. That's transferred DNA. It's fucking everywhere. And if you're in the medical industry, you ought to understand that herd immunity for some kind of virus or sickness is obtained through the transfer of human DNA, through the shedding of human fucking skin cells. I mean, I don't know what kind of a nurse you are, but goddamn, you better let us know what hospital you're in so we can all avoid it. I'm a nurse. That doesn't qualify you to do anything but change bedpans, you fucking twit. Anything beyond that means you went to some kind of school, and maybe, just maybe you learned to do more than that. Where do these people come from, folks? Why do we live in a country that has the most advanced technology that could give people at the fucking tips of their fingers factual information with just a simple search? And yet they'll fucking argue and they'll make claims and they'll try to, man, sweet and salty, what's going on? You didn't stumble into anything that ain't the traditional Sergeant Friday show. This is where we rock, honey. We rock it in here. Let's see here. We got a lot of people in here. Mr. Sharp, how are you? Damn. Look at that. Look at that Bambino. What the hell? What up, Carl? Carl Ferguson? Thomas Sharp? We got a bunch of us in here. Got Lucky in here. So, yeah. Put words in your mouth. I'm trying to put fucking facts into your brain, not words in your fucking mouth. Unbelievable. Go find a show where Jeff H is on it, or fucking the drunk fucking jerk off, the drunk chicken. Go hang out on their show. They're more in your line of IQ. I took an IQ test today, folks, that they gave you 30 minutes to complete the test, and it was a silly test. And I think I took the test in 3 minutes. It kept saying, you're in the top 3% for time. I'm not trying to just be time. Your test was just stupid. It shouldn't even be considered an IQ test. It's a test of observation. It's a test of sequences. It doesn't mean anything. Cars are going to say, summer down, summer down. I don't know. Have G spot bad guy you. What the fuck is that? Take them glasses off. Yeah, I'm not taking my glasses off. That's an image. It's not me. It's not me. I am that guy, but my hair is like 500 times longer now. And yeah, as I get older, I age in a way that's reversed. I don't look as even quite that age anymore. What was I going to say? Anyway, so Steve needs to shut the fuck up. And let's get on to this indie video. And look, some people like her, some people don't. I don't really have it. To me, it's got nothing to do with sometimes like or dislike of people. It's more as if their information is valid and it's verifiable, then it's worthy to pay attention to. And I think the topic that she's addressing here is a topic a lot of people have brushed off, and they all automatically think Hitler's going to do nothing. And I think that she makes a couple of good points in here. So let me see if I can get this. Turn this up. See if I can't bring this in. And invite present. Let's see what we got here. Now, what she's pointing out is Hitler's attention to possible corruption and all the leaks. Let's see if this shows up here on the stream. It certainly does. Let me get the images off. Hide. And I'm going to hit play. And I, believe it or not, I'm going to be quiet.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. If you have not yet had an opportunity to watch the prior educational presentation entitled "What is the Future of this Case?" please do so, because this follow-up educational presentation directly relates to the earlier one. And I've provided a link in the description to this episode to allow you to click on it and watch it. Several months back, on October 9th, 2024, Judge Stephen J. Hippler, who is the trier of law and the presiding judge in the capital case styled as Idaho versus Koberger, rendered a redacted order governing further criminal proceedings and notice of trial setting. It stated page 1.
Subscribe to her stream, Kathy's Indie Zone.
Last bulleted item. A final pretrial conference will be held on May 15th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Now, if you tuned in to the official District Court of the 4th Judicial District's
auto insurance all seems the same until it's time to use it. With USAA, it's easy to file.
I can't
webpage to watch.
I can't control the commercials as they come through, so we're gonna have to. But it's only an 8-minute video, and we're already a minute and a half through it, so we'll be patient, won't we?
The final.
Oh, subscribe to her stream or watch her stuff, because she does put out some stuff, and she does put in the work. This woman is not lazy.
Pre-trial conference live when it was broadcast at 9 o'clock a.m. You likely learned that it did not commence on time. And this was not because Judge Hippler was tardy. It was because there was a closed and sealed hearing that was in progress that the public at the time did not know about. Matters went into public session at approximately, according to my notes, 9:29 to 9:30 a.m. on the 15th of May. We learned later what happened during that closed session, or at least what the topics were, when Judge Hippler filed this notice advising. Now, as to the matter regarding the document and records hold order, during the open session, it was apparent that Judge Hippler was very concerned about something. He passed out to both sides, to Ms. Taylor on behalf of the defense first, and then to Mr. Thompson on behalf of the state second, what he described as the state's document and records hold order, and he stated that there would be a second one going to the defense. Now, the public was not privy to what exactly that document stated, but the court indicated that he would be likely entering both orders over the lunch hour on the 15th of May. And there were two documents entitled Document and Records Hold Order that were disseminated later in the day. But before that time, there were a few words that Judge Hippler stated. Now, bear in mind that this was shortly after the closed session, so perhaps what Judge Hippler remarked from the bench and then in the orders that were entered had to do with whatever was said and what he learned during the closed session. But he had some very strong words to the effect that I would be open to a request for an appointment of a special prosecutor, and that special prosecutor to ask for a magistrate inquiry.
Now, pay close attention to this, because this issue came up in the stream I was on with Dago the other day, and everybody's blowing it off that Hippler's going to do nothing. Now, there is the chance that he's going to do nothing, but let me get back to the stream and you decide for yourself.
So they have the power of subpoena and the power to question witnesses under oath, as well as the power to grant immunity. The court appeared to be speaking directly to the prosecutorial side, not to the defense. And you may have been wondering about that. And if the court was wanting to appoint a special prosecutor, why didn't he, with just the entry of an order to look into the matter of the issues that were raised in the court orders, which stated, at least to the state side, based on sensitive information not publicly circulated that was reported during a recent Dateline TV program related to this case and the defendant, Mr. Koberger, it appears likely that someone currently or formerly associated with law enforcement or the prosecution team violated this court's non-dissemination order. And then there is a footnote: the terrible night on King Road, Dateline NBC television broadcast May 9th, 2025. The order to the prosecutor required a proposed plan to be put in place to ensure that there were no further leaks of this kind. Both sides were asked within 7 days of the date of that order to provide the names of current and former individuals with access to this information, and in order that they were not, no one was to spoliate evidence, to get rid of it, to write over it, to attempt to eradicate it, possibly because of this forthcoming potential criminal action. You may be aware of a statute entitled Special Inquiry Judge in Idaho. It's section 19-1116, and it requires the prosecution to take action. It states, Special Inquiry Judge, upon the petition by affidavit of a prosecuting attorney of any county of the state of Idaho for the appointment of a special inquiry judge to conduct an inquiry into the existence of suspected crime or corruption within his jurisdiction, the administrative district court judge of the judicial district wherein the county is situated may designate a judge from the magistrate division of the district court to preside over said inquiry. Presented to you for educational purposes only. We have no further information. We await to see what the next steps, as being the reason why Judge Hippler may have asked for steps to be taken to appoint a special prosecutor. This is Kathy. Thank you for joining us today.
And there you have it. I think about put the educational piece, but I think it digs right into what people have come across and become aware of, where both the defense and the prosecution specifically were informed, and we were given documents that they were informed, documents that are out there that I just don't happen to have on me. Listen, Turquoise, I don't know where the hell people like you come from. I really don't. But let me be very clear. I'll teach you something else. The information that was released is information that, for the most part, wouldn't be admissible in the trial. Showing a picture of him in a hoodie has got nothing to do with the trial. Nothing. Telling the story that he picked some girl up at a pool in which the interaction was perfectly normal has no evidentiary basis in the trial of murder. Everything that you saw, almost everything to the T that you saw on these shows, was collected information that has no particular reason to be brought into a court. I'm not saying you said, I'm going to kick you out of here. I don't even know why I'm talking to a jerk off like you. Get the fuck out of my stream. What is wrong with you? Good God. Delete comment, ban user. Get the fuck out of here. Who wants to talk to some jerk off like that? So I'm going to share this with the room. Most, if not all, of what you saw on that Dateline and the other news outlets, and the things that Steve Goncalves is sharing with the public and making his opinion of how they show Brian to be guilty or show him as a creep, are not pieces of evidence that are going to be entered into the court of law in this trial. They're not relevant to the accusations. And they're not evidence of anything connected to this crime. Picking some girl up at the pool is not evidence that connects to this crime. Nor is the story about the Asian woman that he dated that he decided he didn't want anything further to do with. Nor is the unverified accusation that he was in her apartment moving things around. None of that can be used in the trial. And that's what makes what they did so horrific, because the jury should never hear that stuff. Okay? The jury shouldn't be exposed to that information unless the information being provided is relevant to support the accusations at trial for 4 homicides and a burglary. And his hanky-panky with some Asian girl's got nothing to do with it, nor his interaction with that young woman where he collected her phone number. What up, Mama Bear? Right? Yeah, Mama Bear. The old sergeant ain't got no. My patience is thin. My patience is thin. You really just can't even. You just really can't even. You can't even imagine. I mean, and I don't mind people like disagreeing on a point. You see that happen on Dago show when I'm there all the time. We have different opinions, but we don't. I don't know. We don't get stupid about it. It's just, to me, it's just crazy. Here's what they did. It's not even that, Clifton. It's that information was released to poison the jury. There's no proof that Brian stalked anybody. And even the fact that they're saying he was in that area 23 times is just fanciful. That could even be allowed in a trial is just incredible. If you can't show that those 23 times put him at that house. Right? I mean, you have to have some connection between this and that. If there's no connection between this and that, then it's not part of the trial. Right? The fact that he was a drug addict has got no part of this trial. I don't know where Dago is. Dago is welcome to come in here. I'll open up my Discord and take a quick look. When I was about to open the stream, I looked in Discord and I didn't see anybody in there that was online. And so sometimes Dago, he streams a lot of hours a week. So, sometimes the guy takes a break, and like right now he's not online. And so I'm not gonna try dragging him in. But anybody's welcome to come in. Let me see. Invite. Any one of you are welcome to come in. And it's not so much that you disagree with some of these points. It's that your disagreement is based on non-informational or non-factual disagreement. You haven't really looked anything up to understand what you're talking about. And if you're unwilling to try to go ahead and do that, then I really don't want to have a conversation with you. You know, there's a reason that I completely am against everybody that thinks artificial intelligence is real. I think you're all a bunch of empty-headed idiots. It's not real and it won't be real. But I'm not against using it as a tool, like a hammer. And I interact with AI. I'm more comfortable interacting with Grok than I am most human beings. For whatever reason, I don't, maybe it's just because I'm an arrogant, narcissistic fucking loser. I don't know. That's one way to look at me. Or maybe because I'm an arrogant, narcissistic fucking winner. There's another way to view me. But in the end, I don't give a fuck. I think I speak when I say I can listen to you by yourself talk about whatever. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm a pretty practical man when it comes to things. And I don't try to be boisterous. I mean, if you saw me in public, I'd be as nondescript as any other 8-to-5 working guy. And I'm clearly not an 8-to-5 guy. But you would never know any different. I mean, it's funny, man. I'm a very middle of the road kind of individual. Live and let live. Don't tread on me. I won't tread on you. And that's kind of the way I like to live, right? And when it comes to information, I like to have the facts. I like to understand. I love to be shown that I'm wrong, because then I get to learn something new. You see? Where most people, for whatever reason, we all like try to demean and humiliate and make fun of somebody when they're wrong. And so a lot of people will argue and try not to be wrong. And I think that's just stupid. Right. And I'm not here to proclaim Brian Koberger's innocence. Not even close. And I'm not here to proclaim his guilt. I think anybody that can make a definitive statement of innocence or guilt needs to just step away, because that's not what true crime, that's really not what we should be looking at. That's not what Dateline should be doing in 48 Hours and all of these other news shows that carry true crime. They should be looking at the process. They should be examining the evidence. They should be questioning the evidence, right? They should be questioning the processing of the evidence, the collection of the evidence, the work of the people involved with doing it. I don't know that there's more than one footprint. The timeline isn't, they claim the timeline is, it's not even 19 minutes. The car doesn't park until 4:07 and 40 something seconds. If the car is even involved, I don't think that car is involved in this crime at all. As a matter of fact, if you want to know the best explanation of that came early on when myself and many people said that the movements of whatever they're claiming this vehicle is more akin to a service vehicle, a delivery vehicle, or a drop-off delivery, or like a taxi cab, or a DoorDash, or a Uber. You know, when you read that document, that document doesn't really show that car coming to a complete halt anywhere for any length of time until 2:07 or 4:07 a.m. And even then, it leaves. But if it were parked, and there is a Elantra that lives in that apartment building next to the murder scene, there literally is an Elantra there that under a night vision camera would show up white, would show no front license plate because it's bent underneath the front bumper. There literally is a vehicle that fits everything that they're telling you, that lives right next door to the crime scene. Why didn't they pick that car as the murderer? And this is what I mean. To me, there's really no, bear with me, I'm going to add someone to the stage. Hang on one second, the guy backstage, Michael. There's nothing that makes a car relevant to this crime scene. So let me join here, see what...
Hey,
Michael Hell how the hell are you saying your name?
Michael Lionheart.
Oh, Michael Lionheart. Okay, yeah, I dropped off at the E. All right, good. Michael Lionheart, what's going on? We got another one. We got someone named John backstage.
John.
John. I don't know who any of you are.
Ah.
But what do you got to say there, Michael?
Yeah, man. I just wondering, how you doing, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm always doing awesome. Never a day where I'm not doing awesome. What's up there, John? How are you doing?
How you doing, man? How are you doing? I'm doing
well,
good.
If I were doing any better, I'd be you.
Yeah.
Just chilling tonight, man. What's the topic? What we talking about?
Well, we're gonna talk some Idaho4, and then we're gonna jump over to some politics.
Well, okay. I like politics.
Okay. What about you, John? What brings you on?
I just stumbled just came on. Thought saw the stream you were like. Thought I'd join.
Cool. You familiar with the Idaho4 or anything in politics?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm from Idaho, so yeah.
Oh, awesome. How is it there? What kind of? It's a good state.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. New Yorker. Where are you from there, Lionheart?
I'm from New Jersey, man.
Oh, he's a Jersey boy. I'm a New York boy, and you're an Idaho boy.
Oh, there
That's
you
awesome. We span the USA from coast almost to coast. What do you think, Lionheart? What do you think of this case that they're putting together against the alleged killer, Brian Koberger?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't really know too much about the case. Could you possibly maybe
it's
update me?
It's a 2.5 year endeavor, and it's one of those cases that's fucked up from the floor up, and you've had to have watched and paid attention to see how fucked up it is. Whether the kid's innocent or guilty is just indeterminate at this point. But so anyway. So what about you, John? Do you follow the case at all, Idaho4?
No, I actually came here hoping that you'd kind of tell us about it more.
Oh, all right. What about politics? You guys into paying attention to politics at all?
Yeah. What do you think about Trump?
I don't even think about it. It's not even Trump to me that I'm not a big supporter of anyone anymore. They're all a bunch of crackpots. But I do agree with what he's done.
I listened to Nicholas J. Fuentes. Do you know Nick?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, look him up, dude. He's a good guy. Nicholas J. Fuentes.
But I appreciate what Trump is doing in the Middle East, trade instead of bombs. I mean, what business do we have bombing these people and trying to force these people to live like us? That's just wrong. I mean, we haven't learned our lesson over 200 fucking years that's just stupid. Why do it? Right? And I think he's doing the right thing. He's enticing people to trade with us, become partners with us, rather than you do the right thing, control your borders, control your people. We'll do that here, and we'll mutually trade, and we'll live fucking life without killing one another. I think that's an excellent. That's what America should be the example of. And yet, until him, nobody's really done it this way. Not even Reagan.
Yeah, we definitely have. The way this country's going, we definitely have a lot of bigger issues going on. I don't agree with Trump. I used to agree with him. Don't get me wrong. I like Trump. I don't like where the direction of the administration's going. I believe it's more of like an Israel first sort of thing. And I just want America first. I want America first. I don't want Israel first.
Well, he really isn't Israel first. Not even close. As a matter of fact, the Abraham Accords actually separate us from Israel first. And what he's doing with those big Middle Eastern partners that he just visited, and those are the three big players.
Yeah, but like
getting them on
Sheldon
board
Adelson
with
gave him like a huge donation during his campaign. Don't you think he'll have Zionist interest because of Sheldon Adelson or something?
I don't know if I want to use the word Zionist. You're free to use that in here. You can use any term you want, derogatory towards another gender or not, or a race. I don't care. But, I guess I come down in the middle. Do I want to see the Palestinians slaughtered? No. Do I want to see Israelis slaughtered? No. Do I want to see Iraqis or Iranians? I don't want to see any of these people slaughtered. And I don't think it's the right view. That because we disagree with your religion or we disagree with your color or we disagree with whatever you're doing over there, that we should then engage in warfare. I think what we should do is what Trump is doing, build a club of prominent nations that will interact with each other on a fair basis and promote their people's ability to rise. And the only way you could do that is through employment opportunities and through educational opportunities. And you first have to establish these good relations, though, and this basis that you could be part of the club if you want to engage with the decency in the club. You've never seen that in any of the presidencies before. And that to me is an important thing. I'm gonna obviously got to notice you're an American that's black. I mean, why'd they bring in 20 million people and start giving them money? I disagree with that vehemently. They gave 5 million social security numbers to illegal immigrants. But what about my black brothers? Why do they got to suffer? Where'd all the factories go in my inner city? Why'd they chase them all out and leave these guys with Taco Bell? Then you're going to bring some guy in from fucking Florida or from Venezuela and give him money, education, an apartment at a hotel. Fuck that, man. Fix the people that are here. Help every American that could use help. Put the businesses back in the city. Give these people a chance to do something with their lives. Stop talking about sex in school and start talking about science. Start talking about math. Start talking about fucking American stuff. There's so much potential this country could have, and all they do is keep us divided. And I just think that what he's doing, at least this time, these 4 years, I agree with so far more than I did his first 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, be aware, his first 4 years, I engaged directly on the phone conversations with Flynn, Flynn's son, Flynn's brother, Sidney Powell, and numerous other people in the media. I was heavy into politics, and I walked away after the last election in 2020. And the reason I walked away was because I showed the Republican districts stole the election from Trump, while Flynn and all of his sycophants were running around blaming the Democrats. And then just yesterday, Trump posted proof that the Republican districts were complicit in the steal. And when I posted we were complicit in the steal, the Republican districts, I got banned and blocked by Powell, by Flynn, and all of their people that were following them, that were following me. And I just said, this is bullshit. This isn't two sides. It's one political party against the people, both Republican and Democrat against us. So I'm not.
You know what?
I don't believe in a particular party. Go ahead.
You know what? What made me realize, in politics, the biggest thing that was the real eye opener was how Hitler was right from the beginning. Hitler was right. The Jews just dismantled this country from the start. And it makes me it makes me think, if that never happened, where would we be right now? Would we be in this mess? I don't think so. I think it would be a total opposite.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that you could lay at the feet Adolf Hitler's motive for war to be the Jews. I think what you're missing is that the reason Adolf Hitler was elected and the reason Adolf Hitler went to war had nothing to do with the Jews and everything to do with the Western European.
Adolf Hitler didn't go to war, dude. They went to war against him. The Jews.
No, let me finish. Hitler did not take Poland. It did not take different regions prior to the guns going off for any other reason except of the Treaty of Versailles. That's what caused the war. Now, if you want to blame the Jews for the Treaty of Versailles, then you can make that argument. But that was the main reason Hitler started what he started. He didn't want to go to war with France and Britain and all. He did not want to go to war. He wanted everything in the Versailles Treaty to be thrown out and start even keel, and they wouldn't do it. So his reason for war is not to kill Jews, as many people have been taught. That's not the truth. Now, the other part of that is, in the 30s,
Wait, so the Holocaust didn't happen?
No, it did happen, but the Jews did declare war on Germany and boycotting them economically, especially the Jews within German proper. So there was a conflict between the Jews and the Germans started by the Jewish people. There's no doubt that happened. But that's not what prompted World War II. And then his rounding up of them had something to do with all of that. His wanting to get rid of the Jews had a lot to do with all of that. So there's a lot of convoluted misunderstanding as to why Hitler came to power and how he ended up in that war. And the Jews weren't the main reason at all for that. He actually took on the Jewish people the way he did under cover of the war. And the war's reasons were just. And maybe people won't like me saying that, but I think Hitler had the right point. They started World War I.
Hitler was just, bro. Hitler was just.
They ended World War I on a treaty that was unjustified. The Germans were forced, and they were almost indentured servants to the rest of Europe and the Western world. And that was wrong. And that's what precipitated Hitler's desire to take back his territory, to rebuild his army, And then it all led to that war. And the Jewish problem he solved during the period of that war in his mind by exterminating the Jews. So I don't really have any hate for any particular denomination or people. They all do some dumb things, man.
It does make you think, though, because you have all these other countries that ban Jews from their country, exclusion from the country, and then right after that, their country went to a golden age. How do you explain that?
Well, I don't know where's the examples of that.
Spain.
I don't know.
The
Spain's
Spanish
what,
golden. The
30
Spanish
million
golden
people
age.
in Spain. How many people are there? It's not that big of a country.
It
Right?
happened a year after they expelled the Jews. The Spanish golden age.
All right. Well, I don't know. What are the Jews doing that causes people to want to expel them?
Everything.
Well,
Everything.
I don't know.
Everything they touch just rots. Everything they don't bring anything to society that's good. Everything they bring just rots.
Well, why is their missile technology and their anti-missile systems the most renowned around the world? Why are they the most advanced in that?
Because
What about medical?
we give it to them. We give them everything.
Not true. It's
What
not
do you mean?
entirely true.
You heard of usury before?
It's not entirely true.
You heard of making money out of
Yeah, and
money?
I don't want to turn
Usury.
the stream into finding out why the Jews are the evil people of the world. That's not the purpose of the stream. So politics would be we're going to discuss what's currently going on in America and blaming the Jews for.
I'll tell you what's going on in America. The Jews are raping us.
I don't know. Do you like it in the ass?
Are you Jewish by chance?
Sounds like you might.
Are you?
No, I removed both of those viewers because they have an agenda that's just racist. And it's fine to be racist. You guys can hate and like and love whoever you want. I don't have an objection to that. But I don't have to be a part of that. Right? And so, my stream. Bam. Yeah, I don't know who people are that are coming in. But if you're going to try to continue the Jews are the bad, the Jews are what, then don't even join. I'm just going to boot you out of here. And so let's get back to the Hippler versus the Steve Goncalves. Lock his ass up. Yeah, there's a lot of people out here on the internet wires that'll push that. NHH, what's the deal? NHH. Yeah, another waste of time. Anyway, folks, I'm still going to post a link. Feel free to come up if you want to talk about the trade deals with Trump, the direction of where he's taken the world and the country, as well as the Idaho4. Right? What's up, NHH? NHH, are you there? All right, he's out. All right, here we go back. I couldn't tell those guys were idiots the moment they came in. Yeah, look, this is a free country, man. You don't got to like somebody for any reason that you deem your reason. I don't need to know your reason. I don't need to have you rationalize it to me, and I don't have to be a part of it, right? You can hate me because I'm Italian. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, there you go, Lucy. There you go. Right back to where we came from. How do they know it was Brian Koberger that sat in the chair? I think what they're doing, what you're seeing the media outlets and people like Daniel and others do, especially Steve the father, who should be fucking locked up for what he's doing. He's poisoning the jury pool in ways that's unimaginable. And of course, the people, a regular everyday person, whether they paid attention to this or not, is going to listen to what the father has to say. And the fact that the father's been given information that's supposed to be information that none of us are supposed to be aware of. And the fact that everything the father has come forward with has been exactly wrong. It's a lie. It's a complete lie. And that to me, it just shows, and he keeps doing it. And to me, the problem, there's only two reasons this can happen. Steve is intentionally turning this into informational lies. Yeah, Steve did not. Steve came out and said he Googled the crime the morning of the crime. And that was an absolute. Here's what I want to point out. Thanks for pointing that out, Callie. Is that Steve is either doing, damn, Callie, is that an AI generated image or should I send you a proposal? So with this particular lie, I like DSTE line, DSTE line. See that? Even when you look that good, you can be a bad typist. So the fact that that's been debunked is that he lied. Is he doing it because he's so angry he just wants someone to die? Is that one of the reasons Steve is doing this? Is Steve once corrected? In other words, is he miscorrecting the information he's been given? Is he taking the information he's been given and twisting it to impugn Brian Kohlberger? If he's doing that, he should be in fucking jail. Does he got access to this information as it appears? And he's twisting it intentionally to frame Kohlberger? That's a sycophant fucking thing for him to be doing. Is he incapable of realizing that if that's not what he's doing, then somebody is lying to you, Steve, and you're repeating their lies, and it's been every single thing you've said about Brian Kohlberger, that's a lie. Every single fucking thing you've ever said. It's a provable lie. And you should be coming out against those people. You want to release information? Release the names of the people that have told you these fucking lies. Otherwise, Steve, you need to just to sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and stay away. You should be the last person involved in the online or in the social media or in the media. You should be the last person. Take the example of the other parents that at least fucking have 2 cents. And the 2 cents they have, they've used to sit out. I think it's just filthy what he's doing. It's terrible. There's just no way to justify what he's doing. And he can't, is he that fucking stupid? Oh, it wasn't, everybody keeps talking about transfer DNA this, transfer DNA this. Well, there's more DNA at the scene. There was DNA on a sleeve. There was blood on a sleeve. Don't worry, you'll see. There's more DNA there. And there is, Steve, all belonging to unidentified males and females. None of it connecting to Brian. And that doesn't seem, you like the other fucking half-twits out here on the internet. At least so, well, including the mainstream media. Right? Who's that blonde girl that Trump humiliated from Fox News? That fucking Megyn Kelly and all the other fucking these news shows. That real ugly girl, that fucking, what's that woman's name? Oh, God, she looks like an ugly little fucking turd. Talking all that shit. People know who Nancy Disgrace. That's who it is. And then that other woman there with the fucking, I don't even know. I don't know. She's aging like milk, and it ain't working well for her. Who's that? On that Dateline maybe? I don't know what show she's from. It's just shocking to me that these people, even the drunk turkeys of the world, when you see that the information Steve G and these media outlets has released is wrong, how can you not question the whole narrative? How many fucking times do they got to get something wrong before one of your half fucking drunk, ignorant fucking brain cells flips a switch and says, yeah, innocent till proven guilty is the standard in the United States. And based on all of these lies, it's looking more and more like they're going to have a hard time presenting beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? What up there, Curious Rose? Damn. Well, we got lots of blondes in there. Let's pull up a brunette. We got Miss Tree, Curious Rose, aging like milk. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, he crossed the line a long time ago when he said that there was his phone connected to the Wi-Fi. And that they had software that could trace people to within an inch of where blah, 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 blah. You people don't even know the shit that they got, da, 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 da. And in the end, what do you end up with? What do you end up with? Look at it. Sarge would be very fair. I ain't no fucking buddy to stare and look at either. I'm in good shape, but I'm no fucking stud or some fucking God's gift to women. Not even close. I'm an average looking dude. I think I'm aging well, though, for 60. That woman on Dateline, I think it is. Yeah. That woman puts her fucking makeup on with a putty knife. Unbelievable. Too much of makeup. Right? Oh, my God. All right, so back to the thing with Steve. I think Steve should be brought in. I think Steve should be investigated. I think Steve should be surprised. They should find out if Steve has any of these burner phones. I think all connections to Steve need to be investigated. And of course, they didn't attend that last hearing. That last hearing is because Judge Hippler is now cued into it. They don't want to be admonished. And maybe Steve will stay away now because he's afraid of losing his freedom. Right, Thomas? Maybe he'll now shut the fuck up. But he should come forward with a list of everything he's made claims that shows Brian Koberger's guilt and go item by item on every item on that list that's wrong and apologize and tell the public that he was misunderstood or was misled intentionally or unintentionally. And that he should come out and you want to make things fair and even and just say, I don't know if Brian did it. And I'm confused. The information I've been seeing and been receiving has indicated his unequivocal guilt. And the fact that most of these things, if not all of them, have been proven to be false, I can't answer and I don't want to say one way or the other whether Koberger is guilty or not. He can't show proof because everything he said has been shown already to be false. So there's nothing for him to prove. He can't argue that he was right, or there's just no room for that. How dare you tell us Brian Koberger was Googling the murder the morning of the murder before it was made public? How dare you make a statement like that? That's so damaging. It's crazy to say that. I mean, that's just, yeah, he's going to stay quiet. No, he doesn't know how to do the right thing. He's a passive aggressive guy. He's one of those guys that, and this is probably why I've dated many women in my life, but I remain single. And one of the main reasons is I'm just not that kind of guy. I mean, women say they don't like that kind of guy, but most women hang out with the kind of guy that controls them. And I'm just not that kind of a guy. I'm more of a free-loving spirit that just wants people to enjoy who they are and be who they are and live how you are and not tell you what to wear. I don't give a fuck if you go out with a skirt that's shorter than short, with a halter top and your hair done, and you're dressed to the fucking nines, you jewelry on, you're going to go out with your girlfriends. I'm like, have at it, honey. None of that I see, and there's no way Steve would allow that. Same thing, I think, from that other guy in the Sebastian Rogers case, that other guy that's the wife of Katie, or the husband of Katie. Right, the 911 call. I didn't know there was still a gag order on that, but that got leaked. And the 911 call is so damning to the survivors. I don't see them. They're survivors. They're survivors in the sense that they weren't attacked. I think there's much more involvement with these young women. My personal observation, I think from you guys have heard what I've said. I think if somebody from outside of that residence came in and committed this crime, they were let in. They were known to the survivors or survivor, one or both. And it may have gone too far. They never expected murders. I could go with that. But the idea that these people are unsuspecting or had no clue or no idea, you can't make that argument stick. You can't make sense of that. So, it's absolutely insane. 8 hours before you call the police, having a fucking party out in the parking lot. Let me just say, folks, the fact that everybody congregated in the parking lot is a story in and of itself. You know that before the police were called, they're in the parking lot making phone calls. The people that came over that were called were outside in the parking lot when the policemen showed up. That's the story that needs to be questioned, right? Why were they all outside and not in the house? It was cold out that day. Why the fuck were they all outside of the house when the 911 call was made? Why wasn't it made from within the residence? Why weren't these people all running in the house to check on the girls? When you're telling them you think they're passed out, why aren't the people in the fucking parking lot going through the house? Make that make sense. Tell me it didn't happen. Make the argument it didn't happen. Because there's just no way you could justify it. You mean to tell me that whether there was 2, 4, or 40 fucking people in that parking lot, they didn't all go through that fucking house? You can't make sense out of anything that happened that day at that crime scene. It's why didn't Bill and Dylan and Bethany go into that room? I can understand her seeing Zana on the floor and going down the stairs to get Bethany for backup, right? Thinking maybe the two of them together, you know, you have a friend with you and you got, you know, nobody had to pee during the night. Apparently they peed downstairs where Bethany sleeps. But I'm telling you, folks, you have to, when you just sit back and ponder on some things and read something over and over again, you start to drive images and understandings, or at least I do. And imagine me calling a group of friends, or even 2 friends, or 1 friend, and telling you think the girls are passed out from partying last night. I saw Zana lying on her floor. Why the fuck didn't any of those people that were called to the home go check on these people at 8:30 a.m., as Denise just pointed out, right? Make that make sense. You know why? Do you know why Hunter went and grabbed a knife? Does anybody know the simple answer to why he grabbed a knife? He went to grab a knife because he knew the victims had already been stabbed. Dylan told him that. Do you understand, folks? When Hunter went into the house and the first thing he did is go to the kitchen for a knife, it's because he was told that the girl was, those victims were stabbed. That's why. Dylan had to have communicated that to him, or Bethany, or both. Bethany didn't want to believe it. She was all broke up. Dylan didn't have an issue that day. Dylan didn't have an issue that day. Dylan was talking in the same type of voice that Dylan would talk to any other day of the week. Dylan knew what happened in that home. She knew all 4 of these people had been extinguished, their lives taken from them. And she knew that 100% before she ever called anybody. And the story that they were all on, that there was an unconscious roommate, when she knew that there was a house with 4 dead bodies, somebody didn't, how the police and how so many of you streamers out here, like I've zeroed in on this woman from the very beginning. Nothing this woman has ever said, even in the PCA, makes any fucking logical sense. Not even close. It doesn't even make unreasonable sense. In other words, sometimes people will do something unreasonable in a circumstance that's just outrageous. Like, I've seen people freeze in place when a woman started choking on her food. People freeze and stare. Some girls scream. But nobody runs to the victim. I did. And I dislodged what was in her throat doing the Heimlich maneuver. I watched a vehicle get hit in the rear corner. The rear bumper of a Jeep Grand Cherokee got hit by a Buick. That's how observant I was. And they weren't going fast, but it put the Grand Cherokee on its side, driver's side down. And I jumped out of my car and jumped on top of that Grand Cherokee and started beating on the windows to get these people out of their car. Everybody else sat in their car or stood on the road looking. And I just once these people were free from their vehicle, I got in my vehicle and drove off. I didn't want any pat on the back or nothing, no recognition. So my point is, we're all different. We all react to situations differently. I can see an unusual situation drops at your feet, and we're all going to react differently. Lots of people do nothing. Lots of people freeze. Lots of people panic. They scream. That fits a big, vast majority. Then there's other people that will run towards the danger or run towards the situation. Some people will do that to take pictures with their fucking phones. Then there's other people like me that'll run to try to help, right? We're all different, and no one's better than the next one. It's just people deal with things. So even when you look at the PCA and the explanation Dylan's given, okay, frozen shock phase. But that story is completely fucking destroyed by the 911 call. I think that there's no sensible way that you can exclude these two women from having prior existing current knowledge of what happened in that home, or understanding who did it and why, or knowing who did it. You can't, to me, I think is if I could be a prosecutor in this case, what's up, last 24? You would be much better off trying to prosecute Dylan Mortensen than you are trying to prosecute Brian Koberger, because you don't have to explain her DNA in the house. You don't have to prove her presence at the house before, during, and after the crime. All of that's done by Dylan herself. That's really kind of crazy. When you're looking at a crime to see who did it. And crimes like this, folks, don't just happen at random. It's very rare that one person just picks a house with a car full of fun, with a parking lot full of cars. Here's another thing, okay? To you guilters out there that think the only light on was the light that said good vibes, you fucking idiot cocksuckers. How the fuck can Dylan look down a hallway at night at 4 something in the morning and clearly identify Zaina with her head towards the wall and her feet towards the door laying on the floor? That tells you there was more lights on in the house. So you mean to tell me what the fuck? I mean, come on. How is that relevant? How is that not relevant? Her ability to observe that body. No. I'm telling you, as a prosecutor, if I could ever be, I would prefer the case against Dylan than I would any other person on the planet Earth. And the reason I would prefer the case against Dylan than anybody on Earth is because Dylan could tell us things that no one else can tell us. They have all of that. They have the reason for a motive. They have the reason, they have opportunity. They have the access. They have the knowledge of the home, the layout of the home. They have all the intricate details that you need to commit that crime. The timeline was established by Dylan, nobody else. They're saying that it was established based on the communications of their phone. But now we understand, and we have to question whether the times on those phones are right. We were told that there was Zaina was on TikTok at 4:12 a.m. That's a lie. It was 3:16 a.m. So we know at least from 3:16 a.m. forward until sometime after 4 a.m. that crime occurred. Did it occur between 4:09 or 4:07 and 4:20? Unlikely. It's more likely that crime took place sometime after 3:16 if you want to be fair with what we now know to be verified. So from 3:16 a.m. until when did she go down to Dylan's room? 4:27 a.m. That crime took place. Don't mess with him. Oh man. DM only waited 2 minutes to run after seeing someone allegedly. Listen, and that's what I keep saying, folks. Believe me when I tell you, I was a criminal, no good fuck. And no lie on earth can exist without the truth. Every lie that you're telling has part of the truth in it. It's not possible to tell a lie any other way. And everything Dylan told us is a lie, but it has parts of truth in it. And that's the job of an investigator, is to realize, analyze, and try to understand what is which. When she said there were 4 people up in that room, and she's claiming it was the 2 victims, her and Bethany, I have to wonder if the 4 people up in that room weren't the 2 victims, Zaina and the killer, if you want to look at a single killer, or if the 4 people up in that room were the 2 victims and 2 killers. In other words, I want to say, and I want to suggest to people that part of what this woman is telling you has got truth all over it. You just have to try to understand what the rest of that truth is. You were a criminal in a past life, Sergeant? Yeah. Big time, man. Big time. Not big time. Let me just say, I'm not a big time thug and criminal gangster. I was a nondescript fucking drug using criminal. Yeah, that's the truth. Okay. And I committed many crimes. More crimes than the guy that claims to be the convict. What's that? Thoughts of a Convict, A.R. Hayes. And I've committed more serious crimes than A.R. Hayes, and I spent no time in jail for my crimes. Oh, man. Yeah. But we're going back to 30. It's 30. Man, I hate to say it. 32 years ago. Longer than that, really. 33 years ago. I was 28, 33, 22. So I was 26 and a half or 26 and some months when I committed my last crime. And I've never committed a crime since. And well, I violated a traffic law once during that period of time, but that's it. AR's crimes are funny, man. They're just, I don't know. I spent time researching AR Hayes. His crimes are available if you got some of those paid software programs that let you look. But look, listen, and I'm like I just said, I'm not bragging or anything. That's a horrible thing I had. I was as a young man, I was a fucking degenerate. That's enough said, okay? But I woke up and I changed the way I live, and I'm who I always should be, could always have been. I'm nobody. I'm not fake. I'm not pretentious. And there's some things that you are that you just won't change. Am I an asshole? Yeah. Was I always an asshole? Yeah. Am I always going to be an asshole? Yeah. But the people that know me, they don't see me as an asshole. They see what a lot of you see. I just like the raw truth. I don't give a fuck. I just want the truth. I want people to be honest and fair. And if you could be truthful, honest, and fair, you could be my friend. That's the kind of people I want to be around. That's how I treat everybody around me. I'm always truthful, honest, and fair. You know, and Steve, I don't think he understands any of that. And here's a guy who probably never was a drug addict in his life. I mean, a lot of people look down on drug addicts, but I can tell you most drug addicts that I've known, or a good number of them, are extremely smart, high IQ individuals. And, like me, they blame their terrible upbringing on their woes, which I also did. Don't get me wrong. But, you got to snap out of it. Yeah. I'm your asshole, right? One of my business partner, there used to be an attorney that had an ad. And he said, these, what did he say? He said, yeah, people call me a son of a bitch, but remember, I'm your son of a bitch. Call me at blah, 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 blah. So it was kind of funny. And that I kind of can relate to what that guy was saying. My partner used to say that. He said, yeah, he might be an asshole, but he's the leader of my team. So, yeah, he's one of those good assholes. JLR rap sheet is like a bad comedy. Yeah, I don't want to get in here listing my crimes, but I do have a more severe criminal background than A.R. Hayes. I think what he did is kind of interesting, and how he's trying to parlay that into what he's doing. So that's good for him there. But back to this. None of it adds up. None of it makes sense. There's nothing that I've witnessed in writing, in motions, in arguments in court that provide beyond a reasonable doubt. Everything in this case is circumstantial, and it only becomes real as if you believe and you're not going to question your beliefs, just like the cops believed Brian was their man to the exclusion of all else, which is what too many people on the internet have been trained to do, to believe he's innocent or guilty, which is just ignorance on both sides of the coin, where there should be no believe in any of it. It should be a matter of fact, and the facts should tell their own story. And that story is the story that you've got to walk away with. That doesn't mean it can't be wrong, but you have to accept where the facts take you, right? You know, and you get caught up in that group. You know, there's a whole bunch of you in here that I see in a whole bunch of other streams. So there's a big group of people that hang out online, and you all want to be part of a group. Me too. We all have that. That's like built into us. Herd, you know, it's that herd mentality. Mr. Clue Incognito. Look at that. I wish Clue actually looked like that, to be honest with you. Incognito. Damn. Let's see who else is here. Yeah. So far, though, you're right up there on tonight's stream there, Callie. Yeah, I don't buy into that you believe shit, man. I just don't. I don't believe in anything. Everything needs to be questioned and thought through, and there should be answers. That's kind of interesting musical. I never really looked at it like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm active with so many different people, but in today's day and age, right, a lot of it is so electronic. Look, there's 226 people in here with me. There's so much of it's electronic. That last stream got 3,000 hits or something. And I'm not titling this to get hits so much as I'm titling what I'm titling it, because to me, the facts speak for themselves. Steve Goncalves is one of the major people dirtying up the public's view of Brian Kohlberger, dirtying up the view of what happened that night. The snap has been confirmed to be brass. Who confirmed it to be brass there, Yuri? And his pal Webster? Who confirmed that to be brass? Because there are two materials that they're made of: stainless steel and brass. It's so much easier, Miss Tree. That's wisdom right there. That's it. There's 5.63 billion morons online, and that number grows daily. Carl knows. Be your own best friend, then it's easier to love others. Look, you guys want to... Here you go. You want to hear the simple side of Sergeant Friday? So, I don't know why, but something came up on my Amazon shopping thing. I was in there looking for stuff. I was looking for curtains for my kitchen. And then you guys have seen those beads that go in front of a doorway, right? They got those beaded things that go in front of a doorway. Well, they make them now out of bamboo, so they're not beads, and they're made in such a way that it almost and there's images on them. There's paintings on these bamboo. Like on mine, it's yin and yang. So there's three big circles, and inside the circles, the yin and yang. No, but these aren't beads. These are bamboo. They're like an inch long, inch and a half long, and they're like a little thinner than a pencil. And they're on a string, of course, right? But they literally painted the image of yin and yang in 3 locations on this. And I'm all about yin and yang and all of the nonsense with that. So I saw that thing and I bought that, and I hung it in my doorway that leads from my living area down a hallway to the bathroom in my office. Wait, let me see if I can get an image of this. Let me see my orders. Hang on, I'm going to show you guys what I bought. And I'm telling you, it's like my favorite thing that I bought in a long time. I don't even know why. Let's see, delivered May 17th. Here it is. It's called Yin and Yang Bamboo Bead Curtain. Doorway hanging beads. Hand-painted bead curtains. 35.5 inches by 78 inches, 90 strands. But you can get these with literally all kinds of different art on them. But this bamboo one, because of the yin and yang, and specifically because of the tone of the bamboo, I have bamboo hardwood floors. It just awesomely, let me see if it shows up here. Desktop. It just fits my house perfect, man. Okay, here, watch. All right, so let me close this, close that. I'll go into present. Just listen to this. So anyway, I'll share screen. All right, folks. Look. Is that showing up? Do you see that? All right, I'll take that out. That's not my house. So that's not a picture of my house. I'll take the subscribe down. Okay. Comments, come on. Can you guys see that? I put that in the doorway that leads down the hallway to the bathroom, to my closet, and to my basement stairs, and to my office. So when you look at my living room wall, I've got an 85-inch TV with sandstone brick and then a bamboo floor, right? And a oak fireplace. And then I put that in the doorway that goes down the hallway. And it's every time I walk through that fucking doorway, I smile. I don't know why. I was just like, when you're sitting on the couch watching the TV, you can't look down the hallway anymore. You see that. It's just, I don't even know, man. It's stupid me. I'm a very simple guy. But I just find that to be an awesome addition to the living area. The other side of that is completely imageless. That's the other interesting thing. The other side of that is blank. It's just the bamboo. So I thought, yeah, anyway, those things you can buy in many different places. And I just found it awesome. I had to have that for the doorway. And since I put it on, like I say, when I leave the office tonight and walk down the hallway, I stick my hands out in front of me together and I push them through the center of the beads and I part it like a curtain and walk through. And every time I do it, I smile. Yeah, I'm a very, very, very easy, simple guy. Yeah, I love my 85-inch TV. It takes up, most of the wall. Maybe I'll get a picture of that and show people. Let me see. I think I may have done that already. But yeah, I think Steve Goncalves, and I also think, honestly, I think it's imperative that let me see here. Not that one. Not that one. Yeah, it's kind of a bad image, man. It's there. Let me see this. Share. Gmail. See if it sends it to me. And I'll have to brighten it or something. I don't know if it's sent. But anyway, sorry for the pause there. British cigarettes. I don't think I've ever had a British cigarette. What do we got here? Let's look here at X. We have 57 views on X. We have 165 views on the Tubes of View. Let me see if this thing shows up. Inbox. Yeah, maybe it does. Download. Yeah, I'm gonna have to brighten it up. That image is gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be tweaked like they do with the Brian Kohlberger images. They tweak the shit out of them and say, "Look what we found." Uh huh. Yeah. Don't you like how that car video was so cleaned up? Oops, wrong one. Where the hell did it go? Well, ain't that a shame? Show all. Where did it download it to? Showing folder. There it is. All right. There, we found it. Yeah, my computer's trying to resolve. It's trying to resolve the image for a clearer. Let me see here. File. Save as. We'll call it a JPEG, and we'll put it on the desktop. Let's see what we came up with, folks. There it is. All right. It's not the best image. It's still a little bit dark. All right, here we go. You guys ready for this? Are you ready to see inside the fucking crazy world of Sarge? Present. Screen share. Window. I hope this shows up, man. I'm not sure how well, if it will at all, to be honest with you. Let me refresh this view. Tell me if you can see that. Can you guys see that? That's my living room. With my fireplace, and I made the stand for the TV to stand on. And it goes almost right to the ceiling, that TV. And it's almost as wide as that wall with fireplaces. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. I two-toned my living room. A lot of people don't really, my friends are like, "Why'd you do that?" I was like, "Just shut the fuck up. That's what I wanted." And the upper paint is more of a coffee-ish, creamish coffee kind of thing. And the bottom has got like a rustic red to it. Yeah. So now I've gotten rid of the end table. And I've got floor lamps in there. I'm getting rid of those. I've got 2 of those big jug lamps. I'm getting rid of them. Yeah, Jilly Bean, bring it. Bring it. Hell yeah. Yeah. I got one. You know what? I got one of those robot vacuums. That thing is the shit. That vacuum's better than I ever vacuumed. That thing is just kicking. Yeah, even when I had some of my my workers did this for me. I'm not for. I paid them obviously, but yeah, it's very cozy. You notice here's a couple of things you guys want to know. The fireplace wasn't there when my daughter was very young. So if you notice, the tables in my house all have round corners, and so does my dining room table. And the reason all of these tables have round corners is because myself and many of my friends, when we were little, you slip and fall and you hit something, your head, generally your forehead or your face or your ass, something on the corner of a table. And that shit hurts. So when I bought these tables, end tables and coffee tables, I made sure they came through with rounded corners. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy them. They had to have rounded corners. Oh, my comment has disappeared again. Yeah. No metal, anything. So right now you can't see down that hallway. And it's kind of neat the way that yin and yang shuts that hallway down. Same thing with a pool. I taught my daughter to swim on the simple aspect of putting her in from the bathtub when they're little. And my ex-wife at the time was mad at me because I'd have her go underwater and hold her breath. And I'd say, "See how long you could hold your breath. I'll count." Are you sure you're going to count? You won't let me drown. Honey, you won't drown. Just take a deep breath, hold your breath, pinch your nose, and go underwater. And she would do that. And she'd come, I mean, she would come back up instantly and she'd go, and she'd be acting like she would just survived a drowning or something. You know how little kids are, right? And she'd be huffing and puffing. How long was I under? How long was I under? I go, oh, only 1 second. 1 second. That's it. And she'd go back under again. I'd count. She'd come back up. How long was that? I go, that was 4 seconds. Oh, let me try it again. And then what I did after that is when she was about 3 or 4, I bought a pool that was only like chest deep to her. Okay. And I had to sit in it. So we did that. And then a couple of years went by. Obviously, she's getting taller. I got rid of that. I gave that to a friend. And then I bought a taller pool. Again, keeping it only chest deep to her. Right? So that she could stand up. And she learned to swim. She never had a fear of the water because she can always stand up. And I taught my kids to swim like a fish until I got the standard 52-inch high pool, which I still have. And yeah, that's how I learned to swim. My stepmother, I think I was 6 or 7 years old, picked me up and just threw me out in the middle of the pool. That's how I learned to swim. Scared the living shit out of me. I always liked water, though, to be honest with you. It didn't scare me away from water. I was a boater and all of that stuff. But I didn't want my daughter to learn the way I learned. I wanted her to learn and feel safe and confident around the water. Right from the start, you know what I mean? She ended up going to the, my ex would bring her to the Y, or she took swimming lessons and stuff like that. And that she was always good at the swimming. They didn't really need to give her much lessons. Whatever they asked her to do, she would do. Asked her if she wanted to go to the deep end. She's like, yeah, I'm a big girl. I can go in the deep end. She'd swim across the deep end. It was pretty cool. All right, back to the stream. Enough about old Sergeant Friday and his crazy fucking world. Let me see. How do I stop the screen share? I'll have to enhance that picture sometime and get it. Oh, where'd we go? There we are. A deep sea diver for the Navy. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I never did anything like that. You know, one of my favorite sounds lately is the sound of silence. I don't know if you guys watch some of those Instagram posts. They're only like a minute or two long. And they show all these women pilots for our armed forces. I didn't know one of our Air Force pilots is Miss America. I don't know if do you guys know that? A Miss America is a pilot for one of our F-35 fighter jets. That's some crazy shit, man. But they played a sound of silence, and you could see their crews dancing and doing stuff and like that. Yeah, we can ask Idaho4 questions. Go right ahead there, Miss Cluminati Incognito. Ask questions. Go right ahead. Yeah, there's a Miss America that's a pilot for the Air Force. It's fucking awesome, man. Another woman's the first A-10 pilot, and they played a sound of silence, but their air crews, as they guide them out onto the runway, it's just awesome. I don't think it's a depressing song. I like that song. It comes from an old band. A lot of people don't know how old that song is. That song's got to be 50 years old. It's a remake of an old song. So there's a remake of it. So what do you got for a question there, Miss Cluminati? I mean, you're welcome to come up here. Copy. Just don't talk about hating on Jews and blaming them for all the world's problems. Not to exonerate them from anything at all. I'm sure that they're problems, but aren't we all? I don't think there were 4 people caught on camera at the King Road residence that I'm aware of. You mean the 4 people they saw on the band field? I have no opinion to that. None. I don't have any opinion of all these extracurricular cameras that all these YouTube streamers are putting out. I don't know. I can't say that they have any bearing on the crime, and I can't say that they do or that they don't. I just think it's a rabbit hole people need to stay away from. People should pay much more attention to the process and how our system works and seeing just how fucked up it is and it don't work because the people that are managing are a bunch of fucking jerk-offs. Not all of them. Not all of them. A lot of good people out there. But it's systemically corrupt, the way our systems have been operating. And I think it was not on King Road. It was on the Banfield or something, wasn't it, Thomas? And I don't see any value to those images at all. Well, the cops' Banfield camera was picking kids running down Banfield, not running down King Road. But I just don't see its connection to the crime. There's another observation that somebody made of one of the kids that the cop is questioning with Saeed had on one glove. And that one glove was found at the scene. But just the other day, I saw in court them talking about a pair of gloves. So could the kid with one glove have been involved in the crime? Okay, maybe. I don't know. Nobody's going to know. It's an unknowable. Was the jacket out by the fire hydrant? Was that Bethany's jacket? Nobody's going to know. There's just no way to know. You can't know what you don't know. And since it's not part of the prosecution of Brian Koberger, it's never going to be discussed. And all you can do is dream and imagine of its importance when it literally has no importance at all. The new version of The Sound of Silence is an excellent song. Just so people know. You got to listen to it. I can't play it in here. I think they would ban the stream or something or kick me out, or I don't know what the hell they would do. Yeah, I remember that 4 kids running. I think that's the best statement there. It's terrifying how the case is played out. It's absolutely crazy how this case is played out. How they've denied all of the data that really it contradicts everything they told us in the beginning. I mean, the PCA was that she went back into her room and must have fell asleep for 8 hours. We'll never know the truth about the black jacket. We'll never know the truth about any of the kids that were caught on body cams. And the reason we won't know the truth, and this is, I'll give you guys one thumbs up to all you rabbit hole streamers. Here's the thumbs up that I'm going to give you. And I can tell you that every single conspiracy theory that every single one of these people, lunatic or not, every single thing that these people have put forward proves Sergeant Friday's determination that to the exclusion of all else, they focused on Brian Koberger. To the exclusion of all else, every one of these conspiracy theories and these fucking reflection things and all of that chaos proves unequivocally that my observation is 100% accurate and relevant. That they focused to the exclusion of all else when they focused on Brian Koberger. So if you want to ask, does the Banfield have anything? Does the grub truck have anything? Does this have anything? Does it? Yeah. The value of that is proof that to the exclusion of all else, the police focused on Brian Christopher Koberger. That's the failing in this case. Period. End of story. Okay? That's the message that you should get, but you shouldn't berate it constantly because you're never going to go anywhere with it. The case that you're left with, no matter what you look at on anybody's video or anybody's stream, any bubbly waters fucking fantasy, just reinforces the point that I've made for the longest time. To the exclusion of all else, they focused on Brian Koberger. And that all else is never going to be a part of anything. Because these people, it's beyond their capacity to see past their own fucking nose. And so you're wasting your time. Your power of community, your power in numbers, of focusing on what the police and the prosecution and the feds did, focusing on their actions, their conclusions, how they got to them, why they make their statements. You spend no time on that in the community out here. You spend all these time on these fucking Pavarottis and these other fucking people with all these fucking theories, which will get you nowhere. I mean, that and a fucking penny will get you nothing. And yet people are so enamored to stay in tune with those kind of fucking streams. I don't get it. I thought true crime was about not just a crime, but about the system of justice that we are being fucking perverted by. That to me, if you guys want to make a difference, if these crime channels want to become relevant and you want to shut the mainstream media up, then pay attention to the process. Don't start deciding what your destination is. You first have to sort through the fucking process. Innocent or guilt should be the last thing people are debating out here. You're absolutely right. And there's no answer to the motive until they can show you unequivocally that Brian Koberger was the murderer that night. And they provided no evidence except transfer DNA, which for a lot of you empty-headed motherfuckers, that's all you need. DNA. I watch all these TV shows about DNA. I've been hearing about DNA. Blah, 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 blah. Holy fuck. It's circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence. It isn't direct evidence until the evidence of verifying it, at time it was placed there, whose hand it was in, that you could show that all of that matches one individual. It all has to come together to fit their limited timeline, which it won't. There's no evidence that any car was used to commit this crime. None. There's the story that there is. There's the story that there is. But the story doesn't have any factual evidence to support it. You have to accept the conclusion before you can review the evidence. So that's how this case is being prosecuted. Their conclusion is Brian Koberger killed these 4 individuals, and everything they now put in front of you is through the lens of he is the killer. That must be his car. Those headlights must be from his car. Okay? That transfer DNA must have come during the night when he was killing them. And that's not how justice is supposed to be served. Yeah. Google searches aren't a crime. Amazon purchases aren't a crime. Unbelievable. Listen, Carl, yeah, I don't want to get into all that personal bickering, bantering, and debate and destruction and attacking and fucking back and forth of people and that. I wouldn't even want to, I go after Steve for his actual actions in this case. I don't know the guy. My conclusions are based on only the limited amount of exposure I've had to the guy. My understanding of him is little. And I'm basing my judgment on, and my judgment is based on the exposure I've had to Steve. And it's not good. And because we're both interested on this particular case, his interaction has been wildly fucking inappropriate. Inappropriate. Beyond fucking, it's just unimaginable. Okay? And the fact that he's been lied to, or even worse, that he's been told the truth and he's manipulated the truth to tell the story Brian did it, it's just insane to me. There's something wrong with that motherfucker if that's what's happening. The other DNA was ignored. That's a good point, Deborah. Yeah, I mean, he may be one of the nicest guys in the world. The guy lost his daughter. I just can't even imagine. But the ends don't justify the means. He's not desperate to find someone who's responsible. He's already determined Brian is the killer. He's so committed to that particular line of thought that he lies about Brian Koberger's actions. That's how convicted he is, to the point that Brian did it. That he'll openly get online and get on social media and get on mainstream media and fucking lie about what Brian did or didn't do. He'll take an absolutely normal interaction with a woman, probably even more normal than Steve ever had, A woman approaches you, has a small conversation with you, you trade fucking phone numbers, you part ways. You follow up a couple of days later with a text. She doesn't recontact you. She doesn't respond to your message. And so you don't interact with her anymore. You can't get any more of a normal interaction from a man to a woman. Steve is out of control. Steve is a fucking mess, and he needs to cut it the fuck out. It's absolutely disgusting. And the fact that nobody wants to pay attention to the survivors because they're victims, you bunch of ignorant, empty-headed motherfuckers. Everything the survivors that you know about the survivors is the most suspicious shit you could ever know. When we went to the house, Hunter ran to the kitchen to get a knife. Someone needs to fuck. How the fuck can't people stop and think, why do you do that? How does that fit the story that Dylan keeps telling us that they were unconscious? What in what fucking universe would that make sense? That'd be like me saying, I saw a car get hit on the rear bumper and get turned over on its side, and so I jumped out of my fucking truck, I grabbed my shotgun, and I held the fucking driver of the Buick at gunpoint. I mean, what the fuck? That's a stupid fucking understanding of the events that I witnessed. How can Dylan say the things she said? Yeah, so I haven't seen where it says 2 to 2:30 a.m. I've never seen a document that said that or an interview. If you've got that musical, that would be nice. I'm not even shaking in my opinion of Dylan Morrison. That bitch is a liar. That bitch is lying. Make that make sense. What the fuck did you tell Hunter for him to go in that house and go for a knife? What the fuck did you tell Hunter? You didn't tell him that Zana was passed out. There's no fucking way that's what you told that kid. It don't add. The math don't math. I don't think Steve J is smart enough to do that, to be honest with you. I mean, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, there's a leading from, no, it's leading from up from the second floor to the first floor. If a blood streak is on a railing, you could generally get a kind of an idea of which direction they were going, right? It would start heavy where it makes initial contact and fade away. It's not going to fade away and then get heavy. That would be opposite to normal contact with something. And my understanding from what I remember is that there was a blood stain on the railing going from the second floor to the first floor. Post-autopsy. Ma Butt said between 2 to 2:30 post-autopsy. Well, for him to believe, not consider Dylan's, I don't know how the fuck this guy ponders things, right? Maybe he's, listen, people make fun of doctors that are real smart but can't change a light bulb. Well, there's a lot of guys that can run a lot of equipment or do a lot of jobs but can't do anything else, right? I mean, the fuck? You can't even find a speck of dirt on my hands or my nails. But who do you think fixed my fucking lawn tractor when it needed to be fixed? Me. What was wrong with it? I determined it was the carburetor valve sticking. There's a valve in a carburetor, a metering valve. And I bought a replacement carburetor and changed it. That's not, all men can't do that just because they're a man. Air conditioning wasn't air conditioning. What's the first thing I looked for? A lot of men don't know. You look for clogged fucking coils. The fins on the back where the heat gets blown out of. Those. Yeah, that's the first thing you look for. You want to make sure that those fins are clear and they're clean and the air moves through unopposed. And when you clean them and you still don't got it, then you either replace it or you call a guy that can put a gauge on it or go buy a set of gauges and check the fucking pressure in it. Anyway, my point is, just because we're all, there's so many men doesn't mean men are capable of doing all of these things. I see Steve G, maybe he's one of those guys. He might be, I don't know. Let's say he's a crane operator, but maybe he don't know how to change a fucking tire. Maybe he's a techie guy. Well, maybe he's focused on one area of tech. I know I am. In the tech department, I'm a hardware guy. I don't write software. I don't want to write software. It never interested me. But if I had to, I could learn to do that just as easily as I learned how to build a computer from scratch. But my point is he that fucking stupid? He's that fucking stupid to hear the inconsistencies and the bullshit in Dylan's story, and the police telling him how they got Brian fucking cold, and everything that he's told us that was given to him by supposedly the police or people connected has all been a lie. Holy fuck, brother. You need to sit the fuck down. I don't even know what to tell you to do. Mom morals, Carl's love language. Yeah. He might be an IT guy. I don't know what he is. But he's not a very bright guy. I can tell you that right now. We haven't heard anything from Brian Kohlberger. And trust me when I tell you that any inconsistencies or half fucking talk or back talk or fucking circle jerk talk that comes from his side of the aisle, I'll pick up on as well. Because I'm not convinced he's guilty and I'm not convinced he's innocent. I'm open to the idea of either one. Come on, how the fucking Bethany tell or Dylan tell us his stories about that? I seen her lying on the floor. Well, okay, then what conversation did you have with Bethany when you went downstairs? And why is it, folks? Why is it that if you seen her lying on the floor and you went to Bethany's room, didn't the two of you investigate? Why didn't you go upstairs? We're not being told a lot of stuff because either A, they don't have the questions answered because they didn't ask them, or they're hiding it from people. And that's not how it's supposed to work. Like this whole IgG thing is irritating to me. Because she was a young, pretty, blonde-haired girl. Why did the police tell her about an eye? Why did the police bring up an eyebrow? Do you know the color of his eyes? No, I didn't look him in the eyes. That should have been the end of the question. I saw his face. He had a mask on, covering his mouth and his forehead. What kind of a mask? I don't know. Was it a ski mask? No, I don't remember the T. There was no T in the mask. Was it one of those things? I don't know how to say the word. One of those? And they show her an example of a mask. Yeah, that was it. And then they should never have asked beyond the color of the eyes. This girl's got eyes all over the walls of her room. I don't even get it, man. If you thought that girl was passed out on that bedroom floor, you cannot explain to me why you ran down to Bethany's room. You just can't explain it. I don't give a fuck what Steve says about there being a practical joke. A practical joke would have been grabbing Bethany and going upstairs, hugging each other, peeking around the corner, waiting for the joke to be sprang on you or somebody to jump out from the darkness, right? Not wait 8 fucking hours and call other people to the property. It's not even that she's a horrible friend. It's that there's just so much that woman has kept secret from us and has lied. Her stories. You can't connect the dots on her stories. And that the police didn't do anything with this convoluted fucking story that changes directions and goes backwards and forwards and up and down and around. She's got information. Whether is it to the motive, to the perpetrators, to what maybe she saw a lot more than she's telling us. It could simply be that she's innocent, doesn't want to share everything because she's scared. Okay, but it's got to come out, right? Oh, I saw a picture of Brian, and I expected the image to jump off the page at me, and it didn't, and I didn't remember that nose. I wish I'd have saved that fucking paper. And I'm the guy that says that a lot. The eyebrows arrested him. The nose has set him free. Good night, Carl. Right? It shall be the nose that sets him free, that big fucking nose on his face. How could you have noticed that before you noticed anything else? That dude's got the honker of a fucking nose. If he was around where I am and he's around any of the people I know, we'd have had a nickname for him. I can't tell you exactly what it would be, but when a guy's got a nose that fucking big, he gets a nickname. You're hanging around people like I hang around people, right? I got short friends. We call him the midget. We got the fat midget. We got the midget. We got a guy with a fake leg. We call him Lieutenant Dan. We got another guy with half a leg that's fake. We call him Kickstand. I mean, we got bald friends. We call them. Everybody's got a fucking nickname. Brian Kohlberger's nickname would be related to that nose of his. That dude's got a fucking nose. The nose should have a fucking backup should have a flag hanging off it so people know it's coming. Dude's got a big fucking nose. Why wouldn't you have noticed that? Clearly, she don't remember a big nose because his pictures did not jump off the page. And she was, I really thought that when I saw an image of the guy that was in the house, it would jump right off the page to me. And I can't say that. I don't remember. And something about his nose. Like she thinks she should have recognized that nose. Of course she should have. More than you would have recognized eyebrows. It's a fuck, man. It's like a woman walks in with big, big boobs. How do you not notice that? Sorry. Women notice that. Men notice that. Everybody notices that. When you describe the person to the police, she had really big titties. Oh, what do you mean by really? I mean really big titties. Right? We had a friend in high school. Her name was Eileen. We used to call her Eileen Forward. Why? Because she had really big titties. And we used to call her Eileen Forward. That's just, I'm an 80s guy. That's the way we interacted with each other. You never called nobody by their fucking name. Unbelievable. Have a good night there, Thomas Sharp. And, Kohlberger, the all-knowing nose. What the image that Dylan had at 3:33 a.m. on the night of the crime? I haven't heard that before. Had a picture of it at 3:33 a.m. Is that the night of the crime? I don't know that Dylan had any interaction with anybody at 3:33 a.m. and took a picture with her, or that they were even at that +1 party that late in the morning. Right? Fuck. Dylan's in witness protection. I don't know about any of that. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs on your front porch? Matt. What's up, Seahawks fan? Yeah, we live in a very, very effed up world. Let's get on. I'm going to jump over here to the trade. And I did some of that with those Jew haters that were in here. Where's that pic? She took a picture at 3:33 a.m. of her and another girl. Dylan Mortensen did. Where did she take that pic? And is it on the night of the murders? I've never heard that. I've never seen that. So I don't mind being educated. But if somebody has got that and it shows that that's true, I'd like to see it. It was the night before the crime. It wasn't posted till 3:33. So all of this talk about her sleeping and waking up at 4 o'clock is a complete lie. Right? Yeah, I think Hippler's a jerk off when it comes down to that. It's a picture inside the house, 11:20. Yeah, I don't know anything about the picture, so I don't know if it's relevant. It was taken the night before and claimed to be posted that morning at 3. Posted where? On the internet? I don't know. If people got proof of that, it'd be nice to see. I don't know what it means, but it'd be something to ponder. It does show that she wasn't asleep and woken up. right? She also didn't she at 3:51 a.m. Didn't she add somebody to her phone's contacts, right? That shows that the whole story that she wasn't woken up and disturbed by what she thought somebody was playing with a dog. So that's the time and state of that pic was posted. She was awake at 3:33 a.m. and the 13th posted on her Instagram. Okay. So that just shows that she wasn't asleep. Her new contact added at 3:51 a.m. So there's another statement made in the PCA that's a complete lie. I mean, how many lies has this girl got to tell until somebody says you're a suspect in a quadruple homicide? Right? And you want to be a witness, you better start telling us what really happened that night. Okay? I'm telling you, on circumstantial case, you can much easier make one out of her than you can Brian Kohlberger. Because everything she said's wrong. It's a lie. It's an omission. She wasn't too drunk to add a contact. No. I don't know about these pictures. But I do know that there's nothing that's been presented to the public that makes concise, clear, definitive, accurate argument that Brian Kohlberger was in that house. Ever. Fucking ever. She went to the bank early Sunday morning, too. Receipts coming. Unbelievable, man. Yeah, I mean, she very well could be an assailant. I've got a complete circumstantial argument to show that she was the assailant. That makes perfect sense and fits the crime scene. The location of the sheath is where it all starts. That location of the sheath tells a story, not a story of an outside assailant brought a fucking weapon of war into your home, separated from the sheath only at the time he committed the crime. How the fuck do you carry a knife inside of a sheath to go kill people? Make that shit make sense. It's like carrying a fucking gun into a crime scene and keeping the bullets in your fucking pocket. What the fuck kind of sense is that? Or you carry the gun in the fucking holster and you draw the gun out of the holster and leave the holster behind. What? Someone make that shit make sense. You can't make circular logic out of what they're telling us. You can email it to you can email it to me at Gmail right there. HeavyKennedy@gmail.com. Let me just say, folks, this is something I've done before I ever even knew there was YouTube and all of this streaming shit. But I've always created emails that had nothing to do with who I am. My email accounts, and I've got a bunch of them. Not a one of them would identify who I am. Although my Twitter account does. My Twitter account tells you I'm Bruno Pellicano. Yeah, you can't label these girls victims. There's no sense to be made from their bullshit. It's impossible. It's absolutely right. It's beyond impossible. It's not. It makes no. There. I don't even know, man. That's like saying I can fucking. If I fart, I can fly. It's just crazy. I mean, I don't even know. She's more than a. Yeah, she's definitely a suspect in my opinion. She's a direct suspect. Nothing being released from Brian's interaction with the police even is suspect. I mean, even the little bit that we know, when they say that he said, I was 10 miles from the crime scene, they got my phone, they could just look at my GPS. If that's an accurate statement, there's no ambiguity in what that's straight fucking forward. I wasn't there. I was 10 miles away. You're right. If those were two young men, those guys would be castrated by now. They'd be dickless, right? We know that. The double standard, the fucking, what do the people call that? The cognitive dissonance? Oh, wow, a pretty blonde. She could be harmless. Yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, man. Women can be as rageful and as vengeful and as fucking hateful as any man. The idea that they're helpless fucking victims is a joke. And, you know, the whole reason they're making the argument with the car, just so you guys know, is because they're trying to build circumstantial evidence to support the DNA's presence. They need to place Brian in that fucking house, and they're trying to do it with this movements of some vehicles. And the movements of the vehicle that they're arguing belongs to Brian is absolutely 100% not Brian's. The car they said that left WSU and headed towards Moscow was not Brian's car. And that's going to be provable at trial, and you'll see without a doubt that Brian's car continued on that network for 7 more minutes heading south. It's 100% provable. So whatever they were tracking that left WSU and headed towards Moscow, that's the perpetrator's car. They admit it in their own documents and in their own hearings. They don't admit it as simply as I'm putting it, but it's been laid out so that you can derive from what we know that the car that they claim headed from WSU to Moscow is the car they claim they're seeing in these other videos. That absolutely 100 trillion, godzillion, whatever the biggest number in the world is, percent can't be Brian Kohlberger. Just can't be. They tracked the wrong vehicle. So whatever that vehicle was, even if it's similar to Brian Kohlberger's, which it most likely is, it clearly has been proven by the police themselves not to be Brian Kohlberger. That's why they don't allow the third cell tower to be used. Do you remember in the hearing where that fucking attorney from the Bill's little fucking chicken lady there wants to bring up 3 cell towers, and Hippler says, oh, if you do that, we got to do a Frank's hearing. She goes, well, the 2 cell. Well, it's the third cell tower that tracked him going south because Ann tells you about a handoff. You can see the direction to which Brian's car is traveling based on the handoffs between towers. So if you're telling me the car that head to Moscow is the murder vehicle, well, that fucking can't be Brian's. This thing shouldn't even be in front of a court, man. It's crazy. Yeah, this is just tragic, man. Whoever killed these young individuals, whether Brian's one of them or not, what a fucking mess. What an absolute insane mess. And Steve, literally Steve, find a fucking room, get a fucking chair, put a TV in there, and watch the fucking Cartoon Network. And shut the fuck up. Okay? Because you're doing nobody any justice, especially your daughter. You're doing the worst thing you could possibly do for the memory of your child by being the jerk-off, lying motherfucker that you are when you get in front of a camera. You need to just shut the fuck up. I recommend the Cartoon Network because I'm not too sure that your level of intelligence would exceed any more kind of fucking television that you could enjoy or even understand. You fucking twit. Oh my God. All right, folks. It's been a great stream. I can't tell you how grateful I am. A few hundred people came in. And, you know, I would thank some of the people that joined the panel, but you were a bunch of fucking twits. I don't know what makes you think coming in here was a fun thing to do. You fucking hate for Jews. Good God. Let it go, bro. Get a fucking job. Go make yourself some money and buy yourself a fucking yin and yang doorway divider. You can't even imagine how much joy that can bring to one's life. Some simple $30 change to your living environment. Bam! You look forward to going to the bathroom and using that swimmer's move to get through the doorway. And then coming back from the bathroom and using that swimmer's move to get back into your living room. And you hear the beads behind you clicking. It's fucking awesome. Holy shit. Oh, well, anyway. So everybody, you all be good. Or if you want, be bad. But my recommendation is you just don't get caught. So have a good night. We'll talk with you again. See you.